I mean, it sucks that I can't, continue with this build, but at the same time, it's like, at least that stress is gone.
Well, and
It's
again,
weird.
none of those parts are really going to become obsolete, I mean,
Right.
really.
Yeah, eventually
Like
I'll be able to snag them, but
yeah, like, I mean, nothing you own is really not going to be able to be used, So it's not like you're wasting the money. It's just, it's an investment.
yeah.
So.
And it's funny too, like I love my wife to death because she can read me and knows what to say in certain instances and stuff like that.
Right.
And like I had just said about like when all this, we found out about everything, and I had said is like, well, looks like I'm not building the computer anymore, this, that, and the other thing. And she's like, well, you don't know how much we're gonna have left afterwards, and this, that, and the other thing. I'm like, I'm over here like we literally need to buy a house, a whole ass house, and like she's just like, it could happen. There could still be some money left. You could find some stuff, and then and she's like looking for every single silver lining. It's like, oh well, this is some time that you don't really have to worry about looking for the stuff. So maybe the stock will come back and it'll be easier for you later. It's like.
And she throws like glitter in your face.
All the things to say. You're right about these things, but I'm also angry that I can't go after this computer stuff. But at the same time, you right.
Right. Yeah.
Time to get your fix. It's a horrible gaming podcast. It's not good, it's not great. Horrible gaming podcast. It's not even what you would call fair. It's really not that good. Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Hello, my name is Zachariah with Old Man Gaming, and for whatever reason you have decided to turn into another Horrible Gaming Podcast. But I am not alone, nor am I ever. With me is...
Neil, a.k.a. a little wizard.
So we have a couple of credits before we get into the stuff. And that is, number one, if you are watching this on YouTube, behind the fancy timestamps, you are seeing some fancy graphics. And those original ones are brought to you by Mr. Mark Bell. We thank him for that. And the theme song you heard for this show and all of the shows here at Old Man Gaming are provided by the man who makes the music, Nick Van Sliders, and we thank him for that.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
So that brings us to our first segment, and probably our most favorite. That is Fan-Turaction. And that is where us, the co-hosts, talk to you guys, the fans. We read out your comments on the air in all the places we can find them or remember to read them. And, we just talk to you guys. We also use your comments to decide last week's Horrible Arena winner. So let's get into it, Neil. Let's get into it.
All right.
Let's start right in with Kevin. Zach. You know what's coming. ... You're only good at Soviet jump game when you use the battery. And then he does crying laughing face, then says, you are actually good at it. It's fun to watch you play. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that. I do want to point out that I did a no battery challenge, and I won 2 games in a row without using the battery, even though battery is easily the best weapon in the game. And it was because Kev kept trolling me in the chat. Kev continues, Sonic Adventure was incredibly fun to play. Damn straight. Love those two best Sonic games in my opinion. I just love them. He then says, Slave Zero, old badass Dreamcast game. I gotta say, I am a Dreamcast aficionado, and I don't know what Slave Zero is, so I'm kind of... One day, I'm going to finally actually get my Dreamcast all up and running, and I'm going to find Slave Zero and play it.
Yeah, you've been talking about this Dreamcast thing for a while.
I still have it. In my thing. I'm probably good now, money to do it. We went through some money spots, and it was never the right time to be like, hey, I'm going to spend money on an HDMI cable for a system that's 40 years old. You know what I mean? So like, I think maybe the time is coming here very soon. I still have the Dreamcast and the controller. I just, like I said, the only thing I need to get it running is a special HDMI converter cable for the AVI sockets, basically. Are you still there?
Yes.
You didn't respond when I stopped
I
talking.
said yeah.
You did?
Yeah, I did.
I did not hear you. That's weird.
I am worried that there's some sort of filter that's cutting out my words sometimes that reads it as noise. Because let's be real, it is kind of just noise sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So, well, yeah, I'm gonna do that eventually. I know I've been talking about it even in OMFDs and not supplying it, which I don't like to advertise and then not get around to it. But I think the time is coming.
You know what I've been wanting to do for the longest?
What?
I want to get a Raspberry Pi and I want to do up an emulation machine.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. I want to
fun.
do that. I've wanted to do that so hard. I've seen, too, you can buy hollow, like, NES or SNES shells as well.
Yeah.
Just install the Pi in there and just hook the cartridge up.
You got to put that on camera if you do that shit and do it on the channel. Like, seriously, you got to. All right, so moving on, Kev Too Tall. I can make a respectable consomme. Consomme?
Consomme.
What
that was, yeah, I read that too. It's consomme.
What is he referring? Do you know what he's talking about there? Because I don't.
A consomme is a clarified soup. So it's pretty much just broth, but it's like clear broth. Very flavorful.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. I don't know where that came from, but good on Kevin. He then continues, I'm betting that expanding how long it takes to reach max level was for player retention, because the longer it takes to get to max level, the longer people play our game. Remember, these choices are usually forced by people who don't play games, let alone have the concept of fun or enjoyable gameplay. He is, of course, referring to our Marvel's Avenger conversation last week. And so... yeah, I agree with you that it's probably was decided by somebody who does not understand how games should be played. I still think that is not going to work for player retention. Making a grind bigger actually will put more people off to it, I think, in the long run. I think he's trying to say that indirectly with the second part of that comment, but...
yeah.
So then Jason chimed in. Jason, first-time commenter. You guys can check out Jason telling me how to play State of Decay 2. And by how, I mean he knows everything about that game every week on the lunch stream. I should join this Discord thing you're all talking about, which is funny because he's in the Discord and he's one of our best commenters. And I do want to say, Jason, if you're listening, I want to just give a quick plug. He was on the lunch stream with me last week. Himself and Danny from England played State of Decay 2 with me. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun to have both of them on there.
Wait. From England. Is this individual the one that we didn't know where they had come from?
No, I wish. No, Danny is not the one. So Jason is from America. I feel like it's the Midwest, and now I feel like a bad person for forgetting where he's from. But he's from America. Danny is from England. And she's new to Discord, but she's not the person from Ireland because she doesn't listen to the podcast. She started watching State of Decay stuff while we were doing. I was doing. Yeah. Okay, so like we still haven't found the one Irish listener.
I thought it was registering United Kingdom, not just strictly Ireland, because I think it could be totally wrong here, but I thought the UK was part of. Ireland was part of the UK.
We're doing an analytics check now, right here, live and on the air. So we have 1% from the United Kingdom. Then we have 2% from Ireland. That 2% has to be a person, So if you're out there listening, Irish person from Ireland, please comment, join our Discord, DM me, whatever. We want to have you on the show. Definitely.
Nothing screams ignorant American more than saying, "Hey, Irish person, talk to me." Good job.
Well, so if I haven't completely alienated you, we want to be your friend. Kev Dutal, Neil is gas-powered equipment, confirmed. Speaking about the cold open in which I used your whole rant about being the two-man auger without anybody controlling it.
Look, if you're around me for any period of time after I eat Taco Bell, you're damn right I'm gas-powered.
He's been saving that joke all week. And then Kev Dutal also says, I wasn't mad. I was already in bed and fell asleep. Laugh out loud. Speaking of where I thought he was mad at me because of the Warframe stream, to which I referred, laugh out loud. In the moment, I was a bit worried, but after you first commented on something else, I was good. So, Kev is still our friend now and forever.
Yay.
Now we're going to go ahead and switch over to Discord because we had a couple comments from Discord. First, my brother decided to chime in. Neil, try using an optical audio cable to play Guitar Hero. It will eliminate latency entirely. Otherwise, music games are almost unplayable on newer high-definition TVs. I plugged an optical audio cable from Xbox to soundbar for Rocksmith, GH, and Guitar Hero and Rock Band, and it works like a charm. Hope this helps. Latency haunted my dreams before I figured this out. So, little help from the man who makes the music for you there, buddy.
Now, at first, I had read that comment, and I wasn't sure if it was going to work, but if I were to unplug the audio plugins, because the PS2, I just have component plugins to the TV. If I were to unplug the audio components and change my how my soundbar is set up, currently it just goes straight from the TV into the bar. Okay. If I got another cable and plugged it from the PS2 into the bar itself, that would actually work, and I am going to try that.
Okay. Well, he does say, of course, if you're on a PS2, this might not be an option, but yeah, give it a try, man. See what happens.
Absolutely.
And then we had one singular vote this week, and it was Seatown 1980, and he voted in Discord. My vote for the arena has to go to Project Mekton. Firstly, Mekton. Secondly, Mekton. Thirdly, Mekton. Add a Tiny Wizard had a good idea, but lost me at the publisher, as they are the ones behind Baldur's Gate 3, and given how they are releasing that game, it's a big turnoff. So, I say to you, Seatown, thank you. And I will, for the first time... No, I'll tie it back up. We're at 13 apiece, sir. 13 apiece.
So, theoretically, unless if it's a blowout for one person, in the next 2 months, we'll know.
Yeah. Theoretically. I mean, right, unless it's a blowout, yeah. I mean, because we got to get 26. It's 26.
Oh, it's 26? I thought it was 20.
No, it's not 20 because it's 52. It's 52 weeks.
That's right, yeah.
Right. So
somebody somewhere along the way had suggested 20. I can't remember who it was.
Yeah, well, yeah. I don't know. But it's 26. It's the first to 26. And we can always change it the next time. But for now, we've made the rules. We got to stick to them until we see the resolution, I think. All right. So that's it for Van Traction, man. Anything you want to add, or should we move on?
No, I don't have anything.
All right, let's go ahead and move on then.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so that brings us to our first talking point. And yeah, it's a little bit interesting. Again, we had kind of a slow news week. So we're picking some things to talk about here. But this one I think is kind of a big one in my personal opinion, and that is Halo Infinite. The game directors have come out and said that there are certain features, long-standing features that people have either wanted back in the game or have or have been in the game for a long period of time, will now be removed from Halo Infinite. Those two features, the most notable ones, there will be no dual wielding in Halo Infinite. And there will be no playable elites in the multiplayer or otherwise. So, I've got some thoughts about this. Do you want to weigh in first, or do you want me to just go to town?
Yeah, I'll take it first. So,
Okay.
I mean, with the no dual wielding, that's been gone for a long time.
Yes.
I mean,
But it is something that people have
it is something
been
that
upset
people
about.
have.
Like it is
Yeah.
routinely requested to be brought back every time they come out with a Halo game.
Well, the only problem that I have with the dual wielding is the balancing with it in multiplayer. I mean, when you're going through the campaign, if you watch Halo Infinite Road, you'll see this. We dual wielding weapons, you can just cut through everything.
Right.
You know, make the game pretty easy. But that is also shifting the balance of multiplayer.
Right.
So in that regard, while I personally, again, would have loved to see dual wielding come back because there are some combinations that I really like using, even in multiplayer. Again, like, I don't know how they're going to mitigate that balancing. So I'm not necessarily hyper upset about that. And as for the elite thing, I mean, they've said, though, they do have the ability to put them in later, especially given that this is a live service game that they're
Right.
going for with it.
Right.
I think that I really think that it's not a big deal because features that are missing like that, I think can easily be put back in. I mean, not all things,
Okay.
but some things for sure.
All right. I'm going to say this right now. You've made fair and logical points, sir. Fair and logical points. I am not going to argue directly with either one of them. However, that being said, if this game was coming out on time in September or October, whenever it was supposed to come out, I would be less likely to be upset as them delaying it 3 times now and now telling us that features that we've wanted forever aren't in there. I mean, at this point, this game should be a fucking ice cream birthday party, like, of a game when it comes out, if it's been that delayed that much. I don't think that it's acceptable to be cutting features at this point when you're delaying it this many times. I think that's kind of a cop-out, you know?
Well,
And the lives of service is fine. Like, they're definitely going to add stuff. I don't think that I think they should add stuff. I mean, that's what live service games need to be. But at the same time, I think if you like the balancing issue aside, they should have found a way to make more people happy than what they've done. Especially with how much, like, everything that keeps coming out about this game is negative. That's my problem right now. Like, they haven't given us any positives for the last 6 months. Every time they talk about this game, every time we see a demo of this game, it is a negative. It is either the graphics aren't that good, or the demo doesn't play that well, or it's a delay, or somebody got fired, or now we don't have features that we wanted. And that kind of stuff starts to add up. So while I do agree with you on the balancing of dual wielding is kind of a nightmare, I'm not going to argue that point. I think that it would be a little bit easier in a brand spanking new game to do it from scratch, you know. But I get it. And the playable elites, I think, is way easier to stick in the game. But aside from that, you just keep piling on the negative stuff about this game. I mean, we're getting to a point now with critical mass about negative hype on this game, I think.
yeah, I mean, I think
you
we
see what I'm
are-
saying here? Like, I don't disagree with your points, but you see where I'm going with this? Like,
yeah. Oh no. Yeah.
like, if we had just heard that the elites and the dual wielding is missing and that was it, like, I'd be like, all right, whatever. But, like, this comes on the tail end of 5 or 6 bad announcements over the course of the last 7 to 8 months, you know?
say, to be fair, in regards to like cut content, I wouldn't necessarily consider just myself personally by a dictionary definition of like cut content, because if dual wielding and elites were never gonna be in the game, then like I think that like that's not necessarily
Okay, I mean,
a big
terminology
enough of a thing.
aside, yeah, okay, so I shouldn't have said cut content, but still, it's stuff that people are either expecting or want to see. It's still a negative announcement. That's what I'm trying to get to, not necessarily
Yeah.
the terminology. I see what you're saying, and I probably
Well-
shouldn't use the terminology cut content because it was probably never meant to be in the game, but you just keep telling us bad things about this game that everybody already is starting to think is bad.
Well, in regard to that, what I think at this point we're actually seeing, I think that they were not actually ready when they showed us that gameplay back
Yeah.
in June or July, whatever. And they were going to try to push it out the door like they do any other live service game, to where it's like, oh, well, we'll fix it later, whatever. They saw so much backlash from it. And given that Halo is a tentpole franchise for Microsoft, they were stopped and like, okay, well, we're going to do the stuff that we were going to do in these updates moving forward. Now, I think with all of this stuff coming out, the information that's been coming out, the negative stuff, I don't think that the game is as far along as people may think it is.
Right.
Meaning,
Right.
I'm thinking that they're still like in like full on actual development right now.
Right.
And probably about July or August, they're going to kick up the crunch for polish to try to push it to fall, like they've been saying.
I mean, I got to be honest. I mean, it's still in my predictions. I don't think they make their date. I don't think they make their date. I don't think this game comes out this year. And I think you're 100% right. I think there has been a serious ball dropping at 343 Studios, and this is just more fallout from that. You know, and I don't know, like I'm just so sick of hearing bad news about this franchise. I have to wonder at one point, like, I'm starting to wonder if we're going to see this game.
I don't think that this game's not gonna show up at this point.
I mean, look, I want to make a comparison here, and like I said, this could be tinfoil hat or whatever, but Scalebound. Remember Scalebound? It was being worked on forever. We kept seeing more and more and more of it, and then all of a sudden it just went away. And it was because that game was just ill-conceived and not finished and wasn't where it needed to be. I'm starting to feel like this game is getting to that point where it would be better if it doesn't come out. I kind of think at this point it would be better if it was canceled. Like, just canceled right out and give Halo to somebody else and let it start over. Because it's just more like, I don't want another Cyberpunk, and I don't want Master Chief in Cyberpunk. Like, I don't want that. And I'm not even a Halo fan, and I don't want that. And I'm starting to feel like 343 has been completely and totally unable to get their shit together for the last 6 years. Longer than that, because 5 was a mistake. So, like, I feel like at this point, like, I don't want this game. I don't want the game if it's going to be broken, and I don't feel like this game is going to be the game. I don't feel like this is what anyone wants. I'm just going to say it.
See, I don't know. I'm thinking though, like, I think Microsoft knows that Halo Infinite is make or break for them. I think that if Halo Infinite falls and just does not do well and just goes by the way of all these other live service games, that they're going to have a serious problem on their hands.
It's not going to be a serious problem. I'm going to fight you on that one. Halo doesn't matter. I'm gonna say that too right now. Halo does not matter to Microsoft. Not really. I mean, yeah, it's on a lot of their promotional stuff, but they make way more money off Games Pass and Bethesda. They have Games Pass. They have Bethesda. They have all these game companies now. Halo doesn't matter to them. One game doesn't fucking matter to them. They could scrap Halo and make the exact same amount of money they have always made and are always gonna make, and wait until put Halo with somebody that's great, and Halo could make even more money when they re-release it in 5 fucking years. Like, Halo doesn't fucking matter to them. It's way worse for Sony to drop an exclusive at this point, because Sony has so tied their entire hierarchy to exclusives. Like, they're tied to exclusives. When Sony exclusives fail, way worse than Microsoft, because Microsoft, nobody even expects exclusives from them anymore. Like, I don't think it matters. I don't think it's make or break. I don't think Halo matters. I think Halo is a mascot right now, and it's going to continue to be a mascot whether another game comes out or not.
I mean, I'll agree to some of that, but I mean, given that Halo was the Xbox's first party game,
Okay.
I think that it would be a serious thing for them. I don't think it would be like a world ender. I don't think it would like destroy Microsoft and they're never going to make game consoles ever again or anything like that. But I think that if they botch this, they're gonna start to be seen as somebody who is like Steam. Sure, they can make all the money in the world, but they don't make games. They just put games on a console, and at that point, people may start to wonder why you even make an Xbox in the first place, because you can go to PC, you can do streaming, stuff like that.
Well, and that's the thing. They don't really care. I 100% don't believe that they really even care about the consoles that much anymore. I just don't. I think that they are slowly phasing that out. I think that's what they want to be. They want to be Steam. They don't want to be a console trading company anymore, and they haven't for a while, in my opinion. I think the reason they aren't is because they're in a spot where they need to put stuff out, and they know that if they don't put stuff out, people will hate them for it. So they put stuff out to not get the hate, but they're slowly going to phase this shit out. And that's as Games Pass continues to rise, the need for an Xbox continues to drop. And they know that. And at that point, like I said, man, if you have your games on every console and every PC out there, who gives a shit? If you're the exclusivity doesn't matter anymore. And I'll tell you right now, with all the bad press that Halo has gotten over the last 8 months, if Phil Spencer came out and said, "I'm sorry, but you people deserve a better Halo, and than what they're producing, I'm going to shelve Halo and find somebody who can do it right," people would lord him as a hero. Because we've all been desensitized to be happy when somebody cancels a game because it was crap, or when they delay a game because it was crap. So nobody's going to be upset, except you and me maybe, but like most people would be like, yeah, it was a bad game. Don't release a bad game. I tell you right now, if Phil Spencer came out tomorrow and said Halo's canceled because it's a piece of shit, I mean, obviously he wouldn't use... I'm paraphrasing what he would say.
No, he would say piece of shit.
He would say that.
He'd also say he'd say something like, "And fuck you too," and like
he'd come out with his gamer class casual and be like, and drop a mic. No, I mean, if he came out and said, "Hey, this game is buggy. They haven't done a good job with it. I don't want to release a bad game." We've seen right now that the people out there at large don't want a bad game released. I'm going to shelf it and find a company that will do it justice. Yeah. Okay. I bet you there'd be some people who got pissed, but for the most part, there'd be a lot of people who would be like, "Great, never release a buggy game," you know?
Well, to change gears a little bit.
Sure.
The actual, like, the stuff that they came out with is very interesting, that they're looking like they're going to try to put into the game. And
okay.
I'm saying looking like they're going to try because, well, here's the thing. I front and center, top of mind, think that they're going to put these features into the game that they're going to talk about here, I'm about to mention here. Yeah, I think they are, but the only thing that I can do now is just reel back, because a lot of this stuff sounds like stuff that was promised in Cyberpunk. So I'm serious though.
What stuff? Now I'm a little bit in the dark. I don't know what you're talking about right now.
Oh, there's more than that. Yeah, they primarily all the information that came out, those were the negatives that came out of that info drop, but they've said too there's going to be a day and night cycle.
Right. I saw that.
that's actually going to affect.
I also
the
saw that you
world and
can
everything
fall
like
off
that.
the side of the Halo, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, you can knock enemies off the side of the Halo, which would be very interesting to Sparta kick an elite or whatever, grunt off into space. They've also mentioned like a weather cycle eventually, but not right out of the gate. But
Weather would be
these are-
cool.
The what?
A weather would be cool. I'm not going to
Yeah.
lie. I would be down for weather. Again,
And
though,
I
these
think-
are all very complex systems in a game that just keeps losing features and shit.
And that's the thing is like you think about the stuff that was promised in Cyberpunk, the
Right.
wall climbing and police chases and stuff like that. Stuff that I don't think would be absolutely impossible, but would be very labor intensive, I
Yeah.
would imagine, to implement into a game. And I mean, they've been working on Halo forever, and maybe they built the engine to be able to just snap that in a lot easier than it would be any other game engine out there. So who knows, possibly. But at the same time, like, these all sound like great, fantastic features, but I'm going to wait until the full release.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to be wrong. You know what I mean? I'd love to be wrong. I'd love for this game to come out and be amazing and everybody be happy. Because I like things to be good. I like things to be good. I just don't feel like they are, and I definitely don't want a Halo game that gets the press Cyberpunk 2077 got. You know what I mean? I don't want that. And every time I hear about this game or see anything about this game, I just get deja vu, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think, is there anything else you want to add to this, or I think we can move on?
Yeah, no.
We
I
got some
think we're
more
good.
Microsoft news to talk about.
Yes.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so that brings us to our second talking point, and we're doing a lot of Microsoft today, so buckle up. The buyout of Bethesda, of ZeniMax, is official. A bunch of trailers went up on the internet. Microsoft, Bethesda has joined the Microsoft family, yada, yada, yada. There is a lot of speculation, though. I have not seen any, and I could be wrong. Kev, if you're out there, you feel free to push the glasses up your nose, do the actually, and if you saw any concrete announcement that any Bethesda stuff was going to be exclusive, please let me know. But other than the fact that like 4 Bethesda games that had never been in Games Pass dropped into Games Pass, I didn't see any exclusivity announcements. But hey, our mission statement here, wild speculation. So let's go ahead and do it, Neil. You got speculation to get out.
I do?
Well, yeah, we always do. You don't?
Oh.
You have no
I know-
speculation?
I know what
You're
you
going to
mean
leave
now.
me to speculate
the
completely?
conversation that we had, I thought that you meant like I had a very specific thing. Oh.
No, not a just wild speculation about this. I mean,
Well,
I've said it before. I can repeat what I'm going to say, but I want to hear what you say.
Well, I am going to say, because just now you and I had a conversation about this and we were figuring out what we were going to talk about today.
Yeah.
And I just now did a Google, and according to Eurogamer, Phil Spencer says future Bethesda games will be exclusive to, quote, platforms where Game Pass exists. So, I mean, I don't know what that could mean. That could mean a lot of different things. I don't know.
It's
Like,
totally dumb if he's done it, but okay.
yeah, but I do think that there's going to be some stuff that they're going to hold ransom.
I don't think they should. I really
They
don't.
shouldn't. No, I agree with you. I don't think that they should. I think that they've mentioned before, like, the best versions of these games would be on Microsoft platforms, exclusive DLC, exclusive
Right.
story, timed release, stuff like that. That I think that they should do 100%.
That's what they should do. Yep. Yeah.
But in this sprawling conquest that Microsoft has been doing with Game Pass and everything, and expanding like some of their games out to other platforms, I mean, even Nintendo's in on it now with Minecraft and everything.
Right.
Like, it just goes against everything that they've been doing to lock those games down.
Yeah.
Now, that also being said, everyone has complained that Microsoft has an exclusivity problem. We have talked about that the last segment. And I do tend to agree that Microsoft does have an exclusivity problem. And this could remedy that problem. But again, I don't think, because Bethesda's been around for so long on different consoles, different platforms, this, that, and the other, I do think it would be in their best interest to just release everywhere, license out to Sony, make even more money, because people will buy it.
If you're getting water from a well or water from the public, right? And the water from the well isn't coming, but you're getting double the amount from the water from the public, while the other guy is getting the water from the well and some water from the public, it doesn't matter. And that's why the exclusivity problem is silly to me, because the amount of money Microsoft makes on these games is tripled if they put it on more than one platform. If they put it on, if they sell it to PlayStation, if they sell it to PC, if they sell it to Nintendo, hell, anywhere they put this game, anybody who buys this game puts money in their pocket. It's dumb to restrict the amount of people who could possibly purchase it. It's just dumb. It's just dumb. I will say this, I'm going to 100% agree with you that there should be exclusivity perks. There should be like, oh, you get extra stuff if you're on the Xbox. You get extra things if you're playing this on Games Pass. You get this DLC that they don't get anywhere else. But to put the game only on one system is dumb, and I thought Phil Spencer was smarter than this. I did a whole terrible talk on it, and I'm really sad that I'm wrong about him. It does go against everything that they've done so far, and I think it's stupid. It would make more sense if they didn't have a Games Pass. If they didn't have a streaming platform like that, like then I'd be like, all right, well then they've got to force console sales, so they make it so that you can't get the games that you want on PlayStation. So, in theory, you go out and buy the Xbox, right? But that doesn't fucking matter. You've got a streaming service. Like, that shit doesn't matter anymore. Like, I'm getting flustered, but I think it's dumb to put this on one place. I think it's dumb to hold these hostage. The only thing this does is make PlayStation diehards mad at you, where you could have made PlayStation diehards okay with you by saying, hey, you could still get this game, like... it's a dumb move if that's what he's really doing.
I mean, to be fair, the PlayStation diehards have already cast in with their lot. They chose a PlayStation over an Xbox for a reason. Right. Same like myself. I bought the PS5 over the Series X for a reason.
Okay.
I was just going to say, but my situation doesn't speak for the broader, doesn't speak for everybody,
Right. No, I mean,
I cannot imagine myself, being upset for that exclusivity, because as we've mentioned before, I'm still in the old way of how the old things are, with exclusivity, with consoles.
Neil's a boomer.
And that's, I guess,
Philbilly's yelling it at his car radio right now somewhere. Neil's a boomer.
But I actually just totally lost my...
No, that's fine. I'll pick it up. Here's the thing, okay? Your PlayStation diehard. Okay, so like console war. Look at the console war in 2021. And like, you've got a couple of different types of people. You got people who are either Xbox diehards, you got people who are Nintendo you got system diehards, right? They're playing it on one system, that's what they're playing, right? Then you've got most people who are playing it wherever they can play it and possibly have more than one system, So here's the thing. The people who are the diehards are going to be the diehards. You're not going to change their mind on the system. There's nothing that's going to like if you make so let's say you got Bethesda, and you make Elder Scrolls exclusive. You're not going to get the people who are truly into PlayStation to jump over to Xbox because of that. They're just going to hate you for it. Whereas if you make it available on PlayStation, they don't hate you for it. And from a financial standpoint, one of the things that I pointed out quite a bit in my terrible talk, please check it out if you haven't, I how you don't get any money from the PlayStation diehard without selling on a PlayStation console. It's that simple. The person who is a diehard PlayStation person is not going to jump to Xbox for your game. So you get $0 from them or $60 from them. And to me, it's a fucking simple choice. You make it available everywhere you can, and then everybody who wants to can get it, and they pay you. That money doesn't go to PlayStation, it goes to you, you know?
I almost wonder if Microsoft is caught up in their own hype because they, years ago when they started buying all these different publishers, is like, oh, we're getting all these publishers. They're all first party. You're going to have so many first party games. You're not going to know what to do with. And now it's just to the point they're just buying and buying.
Yeah.
And just acquiring. It's like we have all of the things now, but still, like, we have yet to see we have really not seen that much, I don't think, from all these acquisitions. Given all of the acquisitions that's happened, because they've already, like, these other companies already have agreements and games in development, like Deathloop from Arcane. That falls under the Bethesda household, and it's still, from what I understand, unless this deal changes anything, it's PlayStation timed exclusives. Yep. So, I granted this was in development, this was a thing before this acquisition, but a lot of it is just so weird.
Well, and the other thing is, too, you can buy all day long. Games have a 5-year development cycle now, unless you're talking an indie game, or some sort of, annualized franchise. But annualized franchise, we've already talked about how well they work in the long term. I think that, we're probably going to see a lot of great games from first-party Xbox stuff. But, again, I don't see the point of a first... Okay. The other part is, everybody's like, PlayStation is the best first party. PlayStation is the best first party. You don't go up against PlayStation in the first party. Their first party exclusives are the best. So why are you fighting them on their terms? And that's what pisses me off about this is I kind of felt like Phil Spencer was a little bit smarter than this, and that's where he was taking the company. It was kind of like, hey, we're not going to fight them on their terms because every time we do, we lose. Why don't we fight them on our terms and change the terms of what the fight is going to be? And I felt like with Games Pass and making things like Minecraft available on all consoles and stuff like that, I felt like that's what he was doing. Is it's like we're making the first party fight obsolete, And when you do that, you take all of PlayStation's power away. And that's what I've been trying to say is that the only thing PlayStation lords over everybody is these first party exclusives. Make that obsolete. You do that, PlayStation doesn't have anything superior on Xbox. Not technically, not price-wise, nothing.
There are times where we disagree.
Yeah.
There are times that we agree, and there are some times that we really sync up. But then there are those other rare times where one of us skyrockets above the other with a point.
Okay.
And that right there, that you just took off, because that is...
I don't understand. That was a big rigmarole. Are you agreeing with me, or are we about to fight?
I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you and complimenting you.
Oh, thank you.
It was a lot of hype, and build-up, but I mean, I guess I lit the fuse on it.
No, that's
okay.
Just
ran over and just went...
We're two very overdramatic people running a podcast. There should be a lot of build-up to everything. I just lost what was happening. That's great. I'm glad you agree with me.
No, that's what it is Microsoft did a thing, their Game Pass, everything that they were doing. This is our way. This is how we're going to do it. Because again, like you said, Sony has always had those first party exclusives. Back in the day, like Halo could go tit for tat with, something that was on Sony's platform, but not so much anymore. The previous generation was where they started to pull apart. And Microsoft was finally like, okay, let's do something about this. They started with exclusives and everything like that, and they thought that it was it. But once Game Pass took off, they were like, you know what? That's where it is. It makes no sense to me that they just are doing things with Game Pass forcing Sony into a position to where they have to have the PlayStation Plus collection, whatever it's called, to force them to have something like that, making so much headway and then turning around and saying, well, yeah, but this thing that everybody wants, no. This is exclusive to us now.
Right.
Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's completely 100% contradictory to the moves that they were making.
And it's not smart. Even if your game plan turns out wrong, it's not smart to just change direction halfway through. And that's what I feel like they're doing. You know, like prize fight, prize boxing match, Muhammad Ali, George Foreman, the famous rope-a-dope. Okay? The whole thing was Foreman was bigger, he was stronger. You can't stand and fight with him. You can't stand and punch with him. So Muhammad Ali figured out a way to take that away by tiring him out until he couldn't punch anymore and then taking him down. The idea is Muhammad Ali found a way to not stand there and fight with George Foreman in the power game. He found a different way to fight the battle. And that's what I thought Xbox was doing. And I thought even more, and my first doubt came when they started to pull back from putting Games Pass on Nintendo. Remember there was a whole thing that they were going to put Games Pass on Nintendo?
Remember there was a rumor about it. I don't remember it was actually happening.
But it was a big deal. Like they were talking about it, and there was like it was all but confirmed. And then Phil was like, "Oh, I don't think we're going to do that anymore." And that was the first time I was doubting them because I'm like, that would have been the move. Because then you start getting Games Pass everywhere else, and then PlayStation has to put Games Pass on their system, and then it doesn't matter anymore. At that point, bring out all the exclusives you want. You're paying like. The people are paying us through your system. You know what I mean? And that's the way to win against PlayStation. Because I'm repeating myself again, but PlayStation's only real weapon on paper. Their only weapon, the only thing they do routinely better than Xbox. Everything else is either the same or Xbox does slightly better, slightly cheaper, or slightly different. The only thing that they do different that they have over them is the exclusivity, the first-party exclusives. Why are you going to stand there and punch with them on that? You know?
Exactly.
Like, take your licks of people like, oh, their first-party exclusives doesn't matter. That's not going to matter in 10 years. It's not going to matter. What's going to matter is where you can get Xbox games. And if you can get Xbox games on a PlayStation console, you've won the war. It's done. You know? Doesn't matter how many Horizon Zero Dawns and God of Wars come out and how good they are. If people on PlayStation are paying Xbox to play Xbox games, it doesn't matter anymore.
Right.
And that's it's just so frustrating to watch this happen because I very rarely believe that I am 100% right. Usually, I'm pretty sure I'm wrong, and I'm just hoping it comes out the other way. You know? I truly believe I'm right. I truly believe that it is financially smarter to not do the exclusive thing anymore. And I don't know. It just saddens me the way they've gone with this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I personally, again, like, I have no real stake in this, not because, like, I do enjoy Bethesda games, but it's just one of those things where I'm settled in that old school mindset of exclusives being a thing.
Right.
It's just sad, like you said, the way that it has gone and how Microsoft has presented themselves front facing, and then to turn around and say, well, yeah, but going forward, games are going to be exclusive.
Yeah, it's the wrong way to do it. And the other thing is, too, Bethesda's not the one to punch with because, and it pains me to say this, PlayStation exclusive games are better than what Bethesda's been putting out.
Oh, yeah. But at the same time, that's somewhat comparing apples and oranges.
I mean, but it isn't though, because that's the player you're putting forth. You know what I mean? Like that's the piece that Xbox is deciding to move into this position. Xbox is deciding to say, "Hey, Bethesda's going to be are winners in this area, and Bethesda does not put forth games quality as what Sony's putting forth right now. And I mean, that's just, I mean, like, yeah, they're different games, but they're not really apples and oranges, and they're not because of the way Xbox is doing this.
Yeah,
like, you have to compare them.
Especially given how, like, buggy and broken a lot of Bethesda games are. Like, that's what you want.
Right.
You want to, I mean, granted, there's some, like Doom Eternal was, like, hyper polished.
Right.
Hyper polished. I never saw a single bug, break, glitch, anything like that. But, you know, that's what you want to put forward. The people who've been just catching shit for the past 5 years because they make dragons fly backwards with their updates.
Right. Like that. And that's the thing. Like, I would never compare Sony first-party exclusives to Bethesda in any other context other than the fact that Xbox is forcing us to, because they're saying Bethesda's going to be exclusive, which means that Bethesda is their MVP up against the Sony stuff. You know, like, they're basically putting them in that path. And yeah, you want to compare Fallout 76 to frickin' God of War? Like, it's not a fucking contest.
Right.
So I don't know. It's a tough situation. It's a really bad move in my opinion. It's just a really, really, really bad move. But I don't know. I think we've covered this. Unless you want to add something, we can move on to odds and ends.
No. Let's go.
All right.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so that brings us to odds and ends. This segment, we like to catch little news stories that don't necessarily deserve a talking point, but that we want to tell you guys about. Maybe we want to riff about. Maybe we want to mention. Neil actually only has one this week. He's been going through some stuff. I have 4, so Neil's going to start us off, and then I'll take it away.
All right, so Strauss Zelnick of Take-Two Interactive says that gamers are, quote, ready for $70 games. What the fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
Ready for $70 games. Get out of here. Like, we only do it because we have to.
Right.
You tell us how much things are worth, and if we want to, you know, buy it, if we're a big fan enough of it, we'll buy it. Right. You could turn around and say games are $100 now, and there's going to be people out there buying those games. Less of those people.
Right.
But still, like, that's just such a sleazy dick asshole thing to say. Like,
and it is
that's
from
the only way I can put it.
It's
like,
from the
you're
same
ready to give me more money. No,
right.
I'm not, motherfucker.
It's from the same sleazy dick asshole who also puts loads and loads of microtransactions in those $70 games, because that's all 2K sport games, and they all have those just tons of microtransactions in there. You know what, Strauss McMuckfuck? You want $70 games? Take the fucking microtransactions out. I'll give you $70. Until that happens, your game should only be $40.
Oh, I'll give you $80 if you take out the microtransactions.
Well, don't go
seriously.
crazy.
No, seriously. I mean, I wouldn't go above 80. I mean, you think
we have
but
limit.
Like, you think about some software available on the PC, like a Windows operating system, you know.
Right.
Adobe, stuff like that. Like, you're going to pay somewhere around 100 plus for these programs.
Right.
Like, I'm okay, but I'm okay paying money for something that is going to be worth it.
Right.
So, like, again, like a $60 game, I've paid $60. Okay, that's good. I can get whatever I can get out of it. But then at the same time, if you want to shovel in all these microtransactions too, there's no reason to do that other than we want more money.
Yeah.
Like, if you're trying to cut your, like, to get more of a profit from your sales, don't do the microtransactions, just bump up the price. But of course, we know that's never going to happen because they can get more money that way. And I think that we very well could see this price freeze at we should rather see this price freeze for games stay at $60 for a while And I almost want to say put the microtransactions in. If that's your reasoning, whatever, find a way to put microtransactions into everything. If it means, to keep these prices down, but full well that they're making
gonna double up. Yep.
One, a ridiculous amount of money, and two, someone somewhere's ears just perked up and said, "Hey, that guy just said put more microtransactions in. We're going to do it because gamers like it." This whole pride and accomplishment defense that they use for microtransactions is garbage. Just be like, look, if they said to us, "Hey, we're not making enough to cover everything that we got to do to make these games. They take a lot more time to do. We're going to put some microtransactions in." But they always give us some dumb BS excuse as to why they have to do it. And doing that makes us see through it and see the real reason why, and then makes us angry.
You know what bothers me about the whole mentality is if your game is good, people are going to play it and purchase what they need to purchase with it. You take a game like Warframe, it's free to play. It's got tons of microtransactions in it. Nobody hates that game because that's how they make their money, and it's a good game. On the flip side of it, you've got plenty of games that are $60 games that don't have any microtransactions and people love. It's just this double-dipping, stupid-ass mentality, and the reason he is talking about this has nothing to do with normal games, because I'd bet money against anything Take-Two releasing being $70 other than those sports games. They're doing it on the sports games because the people who play the sports games are addicted to those sports games. Every year they buy the next one. They're always going to buy the next one, and they don't care how much it is because that's what they play video games for. There's a whole subculture of sport video game enthusiasts, and that's who they're talking about. So there's no way, I'll put money down right now, there's no way Take-Two releases anything at $70 other than those sports games. And that's what pisses me off, is it's even more insidious because I feel like he's almost feeding on that section of people,
Yeah.
He's targeting them. He's like, these guys have to buy these sports games every year. That's the only thing they buy. They don't look at the price. They need the next basketball game because they're basketball guys. Or they need the next football game because they're football guys. That is so fucking frustrating and annoying. That's the evil part about this shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not even necessarily microtransactions. To me, if your microtransactions aren't necessarily evil, and your game is either cheap or free to play, I get it. You have to make money. I get it. That's how you pay the people to do the stuff we play, But it's when they do this shit where they're very obviously just preying on people who don't necessarily know better,
Yeah.
And that really irks me on that one, because that's what he's talking about. He's not talking about, Borderlands or something,
Exactly.
Right. Okay, so I guess it's my turn now, right?
Yeah, I'm out, so...
Forever. Well, I'm going to start with Philbillies. Philbilly wanted me to do one specifically this week because we just haven't talked about Outriders enough for him because he is very in love with that game. He just wants to point out how much work that company's done to their demo. They've already put out 3 or 4 patches, I believe, since the demo has come out. All good stuff, all adding and balancing the game. Everybody's been very happy with it, and I do want to echo something about him and just how well this demo has worked. This demo strategy that they've done has worked. There's nothing but good and positive things. There's a couple of dissenters. There's always going to be. But for the most part, it's an overwhelmingly positive reception to this demo and this game just from them doing this. And I feel like every game company needs to see how well this is doing and follow suit.
Yeah, absolutely. There's something to be said for a demo that is just a demo on its own that's going to be something in the future, but this demo for Outriders is a piece of the game.
Yep.
So all your progression is going to carry forward. You get your time in with it. You like it, you don't like it, you can decide, And if you do like it, you can keep playing this bit of demo to get yourself started on the future release of it.
Right.
I agree. Like, this is something that needs to be more of a thing moving forward.
Every game company should just, a month before the release, just put out 3 hours of the game, and just like, here's what the game's going to be. Check it out. And then you would avoid so much of the Cyberpunk stuff, like so much of it. I tell you, people wouldn't have bought Cyberpunk, but they wouldn't be under like 2 lawsuits and 3 investigations if they had done this,
Right.
So like it's one of those things where I feel like this needs to be the thing going forward. And more props to People Can Fly for already like really supporting the hell out of that game.
Yeah.
All right, so the next one is a fun one. I'm super excited about this. Like super, super, super excited about this. They're bringing back TMNT arcade game, but it's a sequel. It's a sequel, Neil. They made a sequel to the TMNT arcade game.
Jeez, really?
You haven't seen... Oh, man, you need to go check the trailer out the minute the podcast is done. It's called Shredder's Revenge. They haven't got a release date. They just did the announced trailer, which has like a little 30-second chunk of gameplay. And then previous to that, there's a new theme song sung by... Oh, man. Faith No More, the lead singer, wrote the new Ninja Turtles song. So he has one. And then they did... It's old school, like... Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade style beat 'em up, but it's like a sequel to the original arcade game is what they've been trying to do, and it's produced by .mu. They produced, guess what? Streets of Rage 4.
Yeah, I think, I hope this turns out well. I know of the old TMNT arcade game. I never played it. Just because I was a kid who was trying to get tickets out of machines and not actually like play games to play games for fun. I always wanted to get something out of it.
Right.
But I think that .mu could very well like be one of those companies like who is it? Bluehole. It is like the company that revives stuff.
Yeah. I hope so, because they did a great job with Streets of Rage 4. This looks so much fun, and I'm gonna tell you right now, Neil, if this comes out and we can get our hands on it, I want to bring back Streets Retro for it.
All right.
And we might even be able to get Phil Billy into it, even though he hates brawlers. But that would be even better if we had like a full 3 players in it. That would be sweet. But I would love to get some Streets of Retro going on this. I so excited when I saw this. I was like, old school, beat 'em up. Yes. All right, so moving on. This one's just a fun one that you're going to kind of be grossed out as. But it is said that Animal Crossing New Horizons, the people behind Animal Crossing New Horizons, has just made a deal with Build-A-Bear. So you will be able to go to like Build-A-Bear and get stuffed versions of your favorite Animal Crossing animals. Is the suspicion that they're gonna do. I think that's fun as hell. My kid is gonna be all about that. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, we only go to Build-A-Bear when we can find some way to get like a special free promotion or something, because those things are god awfully expensive. But
yes,
yeah, I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, but at the same time, the very last thing that I need is a stuffed capitalist raccoon on my couch. Staring at me, reminding me that I owe him money.
Aw, Tom Nook hate. Love me some Tom Nook. He's just trying to help you.
By indebting you for life.
He gives you an interest-free loan that you can pay off by picking up bugs, dude. I would love my bank to be able to allow me to pay off my house by just like walking around and talking to people.
That's fair, but I'd rather not have to do that to survive.
Well, okay. But I mean, what would be that gameplay loop without Tom Nook?
Right.
I guess I get that, but like the mechanic of that would be like, there'd be no reason to do anything. All right. So the last one I have is a sad one, unfortunately. V1 has closed. If you are wondering who V1 is, they are the creators of Disintegration. It came out mid last year, I want to say. And I was very excited about this game. I played the few betas that came out, and some of the multiplayer was really good, but unfortunately there wasn't a lot of variation. You know what I mean? Like it had like a Star Wars Squadrons problem. You know, like the gameplay itself was good, but there was only like one way to play it, so it got old real fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and speaking of real fast too, I mean that game just came out, and like, is that the only game that the studio has done?
That is correct. They put all their eggs in this basket. They were really sad.
Jeez.
They're also like doing everything they can to employ. One thing I've liked is I read the article on it because I was really rooting for them because it was a new IP from kind of a new developer, you know, and it just had a lot of cool stuff to it. You know what I mean? So I was kind of really rooting for it. I didn't end up purchasing the game because it got terrible reviews, and I probably would have bought it day one. We were having some financial issues back then, so I decided to wait, and nobody liked it. And basically what everybody said was the campaign is super small, and then the multiplayer is like 2 things you do over and over again, and they're great for like an hour, and then you never need to go back to it, you know? And it's very unfortunate. It's Marcus Leto, who worked on Halo, his studio. Basically, they had stopped multiplayer, stopped support for multiplayer back in, I want to say November, December, somewhere in there, because it was one of my odds and ends. But yeah, it's super sad. Like, and I read the story. Like I said, they're doing a lot. Like they announced it with their employees, and then they went through this like process of like finding ways to get them new jobs. The actual CEOs of the company are actually calling jobs on behalf of their developers to find them places to work. That's how nice they're being. So it's nice to hear that, and it's really sad that a company that is that good to their employees is closing, you know?
Yeah, and then like you couple that against, I guess this is another odd and end, but not really because I can't remember all the details of the story.
No, that's
you
fine.
put that against something like the one developer in Texas that made all of their employees work crunch during that snowstorm.
Right. Or EA, who put so much crunch into the Anthem people that they were like sleeping in bathrooms and stuff, you know, like
literally diagnosed with actual PTSD.
Right. So like, I don't know. It's just a bummer, you know. There's if it feels like for every one good company like Obsidian, we get like 4 shitty ones that are just terrible to everybody, you know. And I feel like this was a good one, obviously, because of how much they're putting into their closing. Like, they don't have to do that. They're closing. They don't have to put that work forth to like try and secure their workforce's jobs, you know. They're doing that because they cared about the people they worked with, and that just breaks my heart, you know.
Yeah.
I do have one more odds and ends that wasn't on it because I just want to say how cool this game looks to me.
Okay.
Alien Fireteam looks so awesome. So awesome. Can I say that? Because that game looks so cool to me.
What's this called?
It's called Aliens Fireteam. It's H.G. Geiger's Aliens, but it's basically Left 4 Dead, but with characters, but in the Aliens universe, basically.
Dude, I thought you said New Orleans Fire Team.
Holy shit. No. No, I did not say that. We're having some communication issues today, I think. But yeah, that game just looks so cool to me. I was watching like 10 minutes of it before we got on together. God, that game looks so cool. I hope somebody in the, like, I know Philbilly's a lost cause to Outriders for the foreseeable future, but I hope like maybe Filthy Phil or somebody picks it up so I got somebody to play with, because that game just looks so freaking cool to me. Especially if it's a discount sale. They haven't said it yet, but...
Look, I love Left 4 Dead, so...
Yeah. Oh, you might? Okay.
Yeah, I have... do I have both of them? I can't remember if I have
both of them. I definitely have both of them.
Yeah, no, Left 4 Dead is great. I'm sad Evolve didn't really turn out very well because I was ready for that when that came out. And Back for Blood is going to be one of those that I grab, I'm sure.
I really hope these two don't come out near each other because I don't want to see them compete. I want Back for Blood and Aliens Fireteam to be like 3 to 4 months between each other. You know what I mean? So that I can give myself an excuse to buy both of them, you know?
Right.
All right. Well, that's it for Odds and Ends, man. You want to head into Horrible Arena?
What if I told you no?
Well, then the entire concept of the show would grind to a screeching halt, and we would end up dying in our own madness.
Just like right now. Let's go.
All righty.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, that brings us to the end of the show, the main event, the moment you've all been waiting for. That is the Horrible Arena. What is the Horrible Arena? If you have never watched or listened before, well, please watch and listen more. But it is where myself and Neil, both co-hosts of the show, are going to pitch you a game. We're going to pitch you that game based on pre-existing criteria that we take turns picking or the guest picks if we have one. Now, we are going to pitch you the developer of that game, what the game is, and the title of the game, and then you guys get to go to any place where we can read your comments and cast your vote for which one you would spend your hard-earned money on if you had to choose. Then next week, we decide the winner from there. So, the Quantum Coin has been tossed, and I actually won the coin toss this time, so I will be pitching first. And the pre-existing criteria from last week was Job Simulator, and it specifically did not have to be realistic. So, with that in mind, here we go. My developer is going to be Undead Labs. I know I've been all about the Undead Labs lately, but I just can't see another person doing what I want to do with this. So, it's Undead Labs. My game will be called Ghost Light Realty. So, here's what it is. Future. Near future. Like a present-day future, like not super technology or anything, but future, humanity discovers that ghosts are real. Spirits, ghosts, whatever. And that they are also dangerous. Do they hunt them down? Do they get rid of them? No. Instead, they find ways to make money off them. So, this gives rise to this kind of spiritual science. Basically, people find out that there are things that you can do that have scientific effects on the ghost, depending on the types of ghosts. So, like, holy water works on one type of ghost, maybe crucifix on another, maybe exorcisms on another, whatever. All the ghosts begin being classified, and so on and so forth. But you're not playing any of those people. What you're playing is a real estate company. What you do is you hire real estate agents who are also exorcists. What they do then is the game will take place in two forms. You will go to a house, pick a house from a list of houses that are possibly open, that are haunted. You will have a long 40-minute boss fight, which evolves in a few different steps. One, researching the ghost that you're trying to take on without it killing you or driving you insane. Kind of in the vein of Phantasmagoria or whatever that one is. You will then try and figure out how to defeat it, exorcise it, get rid of it, and then there will be some sort of astral plane battle where you actually get rid of the ghost. But then the second half happens, which you become Claire Danes. Not Claire Danes. Claire and Chris. You start rehabbing the house. You have to rehab it, fix it up, try and get it right to sale, and then price it correctly, giving all the accoutrement of a real estate agent. So you have to figure out the residential property disclosure. You'll have to figure out the contracts, all that fun stuff, that fun paperwork stuff, and then sell it to make money off of it. So that's the gameplay loop, kind of like in a Moonlighter setup. Now, why I picked Undead Labs specifically is the real estate agents that you hire to your company are procedurally generated in much the same way the survivors are from State of Decay 2. So they can come in with all sorts of ups and downs, weaknesses and strengths, all sorts of different skills and attributes that might help them with certain different types of ghosts that you're taking on, or the real estate half of things as well. In addition, you'll have to decide what to pay them. You'll have to manage them, manage their cut, and try and make sure they're happy, or they might head off to another real estate agency. Now, this game will have a rich multiplayer, and the rich multiplayer will happen in two different ways. One, somebody from a different real estate company, another player playing their own Ghostlight Realty, can bring their real estate agents in to assist you with very large, scary ghost hunts. In this kind of case, you have to decide whether you want to bring in a multiplayer character or hunt it on your own. If you bring in a multiplayer character, you got to split the commission. If you hunt them on your own, you get it all for yourself, but you might lose your real estate agent to madness or death. The other way is dedicated servers, which allow more than one player, up to 4, to manage a real estate agency, a ghost-like real estate agency themselves. Meaning, anytime you jack in, you're playing you're playing the same like group of characters. So if Jack gets into our game and gets one of my people killed, I lose that people too. So you're all working towards this same common goal with one ghost-like real estate agency. So that's my game. I'm really, really, really proud of it. I'm really excited about that one. Yeah, so there you go, Neil. It's up to you.
And you didn't say jack off.
I didn't. I almost did. I almost screwed that up. I almost screwed it up. I was so excited. I came up with that game just brainstorming and couldn't fit it into the tabletop thing.
That was pretty good. I like that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I didn't know if you were going to like it because of the procedural generation in it.
Yeah, no, I imagine it. I almost like get vibes of like it's something that like Nintendo could do with Luigi's Mansion. Like,
yeah, you could. Yeah, you really could. That would be interesting. Yeah, that would be really cool. Go ahead.
So so mine is gonna be called Project Cleanup. In Project Cleanup, players would take the role of a person on a cleanup crew of 4 people. They would be sent around within an area to clean up said area as fast as they possibly can, taking control of any individual member of the crew at any given time. However, the messes they are cleaning up are not normal messes, but rather destruction caused by superheroes and villains fighting while they are still currently fighting, because you got to get a jump on all that destruction. Each member of the team would be suited for an individual type of cleaning job: fluids, rubble, auto, and utility cleanup. However, the player could build out their team any way they desired with any combination of people in the team. So let's say you want to focus more on cleaning up rubble than fluids that may happen in the middle of all of this. You can build 2 out with that and no fluid person. Your team would be cleaning up a multitude of things, like I said, such as rubble from buildings, destroyed cars, and all of these things that you clean would be getting you money for each task. The player could also score extra cash if they were to save people who were trapped by all this debris and the chaos that's ensued along the way. This cash would be used for upgrades to the player's equipment, allowing them to clean up different kinds of messes or clean them up faster. The player can also affect the fight that is currently still happening itself by cleaning things up. Let's say character cleans up a destroyed car. Then that car can no longer be used in the fight as like some melee weapon of some sort or something, potentially shifting the momentum of the fight and the direction in which the fight progresses throughout the large map. The fight would take place across an entire large area, and you would have to almost follow the fight, cleaning it up as you go along. There would also be opportunity for team play, where everyone takes a role of cleaning person on the team of 4 and goes to compete for the best score individually or as a whole for the team. Like, let's say they go into a certain fight scenario. You can do individual high score or best team high score and compete that way as well. And you could also have 2 cleaning crews fighting to clean the most at the same time in the middle of the fight. And whenever the fight is done, whoever's cleaned the most wins. So yeah, that is my Project Cleanup by EA. I forgot to mention that it was by EA, I believe.
I love that. Can I say 2 things? Just side notes about that.
Yeah.
Number 1, I used to play games with C-Town.
Yeah.
C-Town, if you're listening, you know what I'm talking about. We used to play superhero games. One of the smartest things C-Town has ever said to me is he said to me one day, he's like, do you know why there's no recession in superhero worlds? And I was like, why? And he was like, because they wreck everything so much that it creates constant jobs, which influx the economy.
Yo, but that's true.
I know. Your game kind of fed right into that. I think that's so cool. I love the idea. The other thing I want to say, and this is way off the topic, on my lunch stream, I have this bit because in State of Decay 2, you can drive through like fences and stuff like that, and they just like get destroyed, whatever. But if you go back to the same fence, like it respawns constantly, right? So
Yeah.
I have this bit where there's just one old man in the zombie apocalypse who just feels it's necessary to just go around fixing fences that get that get wrecked by the other survivors. Like he's just living alone. Like, well, somebody's got to fix these fences, and your game is basically that. I think that's so cool. But anyway, that's two great games, guys. You will get to decide who wins. I'm very excited about this because these are two good pitches. I love it when we're both pitching on all cylinders. It makes it so interesting to me. So you guys get to go to all the places we're about to describe to tell us what you're going to vote for. But before that, Neil still owes me one. He's got to pick what we're going to pitch next week.
All right, so honestly, I kind of went lame. I went back to something that we've done. But next week is just going to be a platformer.
Okay. All right. Okay. Platformer works. All right, guys. So we'll be right back with the plugs.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, everybody, that brings us to the end of the show and the shameless self-promotion that comes with it. Neil, you got anything special you want to plug this week?
Well, Halo Infinite Road's still going, and, we also did Prelude with you guys. We did Super Mario Party, and it really, really was fun. Doing that did not feel like us sitting down for a recording, which was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was just these were natural shenanigans.
Yeah, it was really nice. It was really nice. I did like that. I think that's why we did 4 of them, and 2 of them are really big episodes. Because we kind of lost track of the timer a couple of times.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are going on right now. The second one just went up, and I've watched both of them. I laughed very hard through them. I enjoy them quite a bit, and I'm actually doing my review on Super Mario Party this week.
Oh, so you picked it up?
Yeah, we did on Mario Day. We decided to pick it up, and
Cool.
crazy enough, I mean, spoiler a little bit for my review, one of the coolest things about it is Stella enjoys it and can actually participate. I mean, a lot of the things she gets via dumb luck, but the mini games are kind of impossible for her, but they only last for a couple of minutes, and the rest of it is just pressing one dice and moving your character. And
Yeah.
that's something she understands and she gets. So that was really nice. And Halo Infinite Road, we get funnier every time we do it. I love the Halo Infinite Roads. They're so much fun. Check those out, guys. They're really fun watches. As far as myself, I do want to have a very special, if you're watching this podcast or listening to this podcast, plug. Because if you have ever wondered, if you ever thought to yourself, man, I want to know who would win in a sloppy old man fight between Neil and Zach, because they argue all the time on the podcast. If you ever wanted to know, well, that's probably never going to happen in real life. But OMGW, the one that will, if you're listening to this, came out yesterday, or if you're watching this, came out 2 days ago on Monday, has our wrestling version personas taking each other on in a one-on-one match. It is Neil Iceman Pert taking on Zachariah Hardrock in the opening match. So if you want to see what we wished we looked like when we fight, check that out. As far as any other plugs, nothing super special coming this week other than the OMFD will be out this Saturday, which is always nice. And then check out our streams and everything else that the channel has to offer. Please join our Discord. We like talking to people, and if you get involved with our community, we have you on the podcast, we have you on streams. We like to do stuff with our community. We're a very community-forward channel here. So join our Discord and chat with us. You never know what's going to happen. Hell,
You know what? You know what? I just
What?
randomly thought about this, and this might be a mistake. I demand memes. Just memes about anything. I don't even care. Go into the lounge on Discord and just share memes. Spam memes.
Man, I
Level
hope
up your
Filthy Phil
posting
is
like
not
3
listening to this.
levels in one day.
I hope Filthy Phil is not listening to this. He already does that. Yeah. I mean, everybody in the wrestling show is a community member voicing it. So
That's true.
jump in. We'd love to hear from you. As far as it goes, though, you can contact us on Facebook at OldManGamingDH. You can check us out on Twitter at OldManGaming9. You can join our Discord. The link is in the description below. You can influence all of our shows from there. And guys, please click like. Please click subscribe. Please tell a friend about us if you like us. And as usual, if you guys keep watching and listening, we'll keep doing it. We'll see you guys next week.
Okay, it did. I had to check. I had Amazon open. I was meant to check earlier. I had to cancel something.
Oh.
I'm getting in the middle of all of this nightmare that's happening. My mom she texted me when I get into work yesterday.
Okay.
Says, "Hey, are you at work?" Like, I just got here. Why? What's up? She's like, "Can I call?" I'm like, "All right." So, well, I call her. And she's like, "Hey, what phone do you want?" I'm like, "What?" And just so you know, the phone that I have now, I've had for less than a year.
Oh, wow.
And it's like it's not like an old phone. It's a Note 10 Plus.
Oh,
So,
yeah. That's a good one.
it's a pretty decent phone. So she was like, "Yeah, what phone do you want?" I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about right now." And she just on a whim was like, "Well, we're going to switch providers and we're going to get new phones." And I'm like, in the middle of all this stuff going on, I'm like, "Well, I'm not paying anything extra a month, so I'm not trying to change my phone. Besides, I bought this one outright. I own it. Like, I'm not making monthly payments or anything."
Right.
So it was like trying to hook back up with that, especially right now. And she's like, "Well, if you don't get a phone, then we all can't get phones." What? So then I told her, is like, "Look, you just do whatever you got to do. If you want to get this and it costs more, that's fine. You're paying the difference. I'm not." She's like, "Fine, whatever." Text me like 20 minutes later. She's like, "Okay, you're getting a Note 20 Ultra." I'm like, "Okay, that's great." And she's like, "You have to come up here and like within 2 weeks and trade my phone in and this, that, and the other, all this craziness." I'm like, "Okay, fine, whatever." So I didn't want to be without a case for that phone because as these phones get bigger and better and everything, they get increasingly more fragile.
Right.
And I refuse to not have a phone like that in a case.
Right.
So I ordered a case online. Did it this morning. 45 minutes afterwards, she messages me, "I don't think we're going to change phones anymore." Now, mind you, gears are already in motion.
Right.
And I'm like, "Okay, well, I mean, you guys already signed up with a contract, right? You can't just say, nah, I don't want it anymore." And I was like, I have to cancel this now because this case that I bought, I am not trying to spend money right now, but like, I'm not trying to spend money on something that I literally can't even use, so I canceled it.
Right.
And I wanted to make sure, that's what I had to check to make sure it was canceled. But then, like 2 hours ago, I get another message from her, "We're sticking with the new phones." After I already canceled everything, after she already said she already got on the phone and was gonna cancel. Like this whole big to do with all of this stuff, and it's like, well, now I'm like weirdly paranoid about going back in and repurchasing that same case after I've already canceled it because I'm worried that Amazon is gonna think I'm crazy.
Yeah. They're gonna send somebody for you. Like,
right. It's like he just bought this. He only had it purchased for like an hour, and then he decided he didn't want it anymore, which is fine. People have regrets. And then like 5 hours later, he bought it again. I don't know what to do with him. and they just be like, Alexa, what's he doing right now?
We gotta tell the NSA about him. Something's going on.
Right.